Many people are incredibly excited for the Bitcoin halving that is coming up next year. But now this week we had the halving of Litecoin, and many people were surprised to see that the price really didn't react at all. Now, people have different explanations for what happened in Litecoin and why the price didn't take off. Some say that it was priced into the cake. Some say it's because of Litecoin's non-status as a store of value. So there are different explanations for what happened, why the halving didn't affect the price as much as people thought. But in this video, I wanted to take a look at the history, because if you look at the history of Litecoin and the previous halving that happened in Litecoin, you will see a trend. You will see a trend that is somewhat different from what happens in Bitcoin when it comes to the actual block reward halvings. And then we're going to talk and take a look at Bitcoin to see how the upcoming halving could affect the Bitcoin price. We're going to take a look at the history, and I'm going to answer a question that many people have asked themselves, and that is the parabolic rise that we've seen this year, is that people pricing in the upcoming halving already, or will the halving contribute to an even higher price when we get there? So we're going to take a look at some history and to take a look at the charts to see how the halvings actually affect the price. So I hope you are excited. I also want to say that this video is brought in collaboration with Bybit, and if you want to trade Bitcoin or Litecoin and you want to do that with leverage, or you want to short them, a perfect place to do that is on Bybit. And right now you can get a $60 welcome bonus if you sign up using my link below. So if you deposit more than 0.2 Bitcoin, you will get a $60 trading bonus. So make sure to go to my affiliate link below, register on Bybit so that you are ready. Regardless of if the price is going to moon, regardless if it's going to crash, you can go long, you can go short, you can use leverage, you can do whatever you want. So use my link if you want to trade below. But as always, use caution when you're using leverage, and always be aware that all of these investments are of course associated with risk, and you should do your own analysis before you start to trade. With that being said, let's get into the actual Litecoin chart. And here is the Litecoin chart, and what I have marked here with this vertical line is when the recent halving actually happened, and that was on August 4th. And what we saw before that, from really the start of 2019, was this incredible upwards movement here. Let's see how large this move was. So we made a 540% move up here to the local peak there, and that is quite a significant move. And that is after we broke this trend line right here. Then the price really took off, and then the halving came here in August, just a few days ago. And the price hasn't really done a lot. It's just been sitting around here, sitting still. And a lot of people say that this was priced in this move that we saw here. The buyers priced in the actual halving coming up. They fronted the actual halving, which is not a surprise because everyone knows it's coming up, right? So if you know that the price is going up next week, then the price would already go up today. That is at least the thought of the effective market, that if you actually know the price is going up next week, then you of course want to purchase now before the price actually goes up. So that is generally what people do when they go in front of these events. And I thought we would take a look at the previous halving that Litecoin had and see if it actually was the case that the halving contributed to a large rise in the price of Litecoin. So let's go back here, because I marked the previous halving that happened as well, which was in August of 2015. And what you saw here was a very similar story actually. We had this downtrend, this bear market, followed by a sharp, parabolic move upwards, and then came the halving. And that is a very similar move. I mean, we had this downwards trend, we broke it, people started to buy up Litecoin in anticipation of the actual halving. Then the halving happened, and what happened after that? Well, the price was pretty much sitting still. It wasn't doing much. The halving didn't really affect the price until a few months later when the bull market in 2017 happened and Litecoin just skyrocketed, right? So the halving didn't really do much here after the actual halving. It was more of a front run of the actual halving, the same thing that we've seen here. I mean, it's surprisingly similar, right? You see the similarities where people front run the halving and then it doesn't really affect the price afterwards. And of course, no one knows what's going to happen afterwards here. It's only been a few days. Maybe we'll see something completely different, but I wouldn't be surprised, since history sometimes repeats itself, or at least has a lot of similarities, that Litecoin will take the same route as it did in the past, not showing any huge moves after the halvings, but who knows? And if you have any theories, you can let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear them. And now that we've looked at Litecoin, I thought we'd take a look at Bitcoin as well. Because as I said, many people are very excited for the halving coming up next year and how that might affect the price. But now, since we've seen such a parabolic move, how will the halving affect that? Well, we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin chart now. And here's what the chart looks like right now. As of making this video, we're sitting around just below 12K. It looks like we might be busting through 12K here any second. But the halving is of course coming up later this year. It's approximated sometime in May of 2020. So I've put this vertical line right here. So we have quite a long way to go before we reach it. But the question that I find to be the most interesting is, now that we've had such a huge rise in the price, a parabolic upwards trend here, the question is, can this continue all the way to the halving? And when we hit the halving, are we going to go even more parabolic? That's the question that I find interesting. Or are we actually going to see a consolidation, maybe downwards until the halving and then go up once again? That is the most exciting question right now, I think. But I thought we would take a look at the history of halvings in Bitcoin and see really what happened there. So here we have the two halvings in Bitcoin that we've seen. We've seen one in October 2020 and one in July of 2016. And these are also quite similar in their nature. They look very different from Litecoin, but if you look at only Bitcoin, you will see that the two halvings in the past shared some common characteristics. Both of them happened quite a long time after the end of the bear market. So let's see here. So from the bottom of the bear market until the halving, we had here in 2015, 2016, we had about a 380% move over 500 days before we actually hit the halving. We had good performance even before the actual halving. So there was more than a year, almost 2 years, between the bottom of the bear market and the actual halving, and we made 300 to 400% gain. And if we take a look at the halving that happened in 2012, the first halving of Bitcoin, it was also quite a while after the bottom of the bear market, the end of the bear market, and it was quite a positive time for Bitcoin as well. It was a period of very large increases in the price. So here we had about a year in between the bottom of the bear market and the halving in 2012, and we made almost a 500% increase in price. So what's interesting with this is that even though we had great increases in price before the halving, and it took quite a long time in between the end of the bear market and the halving, even after that, we saw after the halving increases in price once again in both of these cases. So after the halving, we had another increase for about 10,000% in 2013. And then after the halving in 2016, we had an increase of 2,000%. So very, very interesting moves. What's important to keep in mind as well is that if you look at the previous halving that happened in 2016, what actually happened was that when the halving actually happened, you can see that people were disappointed, because if we zoom in on this, you will see that everyone, just like we are now, we're so excited for the halving. So we have this huge run up, people front run it, and then the halving happens and nothing really happens. We're sitting still, and then we dropped almost 30%, 25% down. Can you believe, people were probably thinking that, hey, this halving thing is over. I mean, halvings don't contribute to price anymore. It only did it once. So don't be surprised if we see these things once again, because people was probably incredibly surprised back in 2016 that this happened. And just after that, we started with this huge bull market, of course, having huge dips there as well. But it's important that, just as we saw in Litecoin, that you can't expect the halving to be this magical one that just after the halving, boom, off we go, because that's not how it works. But the trend is quite clear, and it is still possible, even though we've had a large parabolic increase, that the halving is going to boost the price even more. But I'm not saying it's going to be a straight line to the halving and then we're just going to keep going. It might be that we consolidate here until the halving. We might be going down, retesting some of the local bottoms before we actually reach the halving, because there is quite a lot of time before we reach that point. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. What an exciting time to be in the crypto market. So much is going on and everyone is very excited. So if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button. Otherwise, you can hit that button as well. But either way, I want you to get subscribed and hit that bell button so that you don't miss any of my future videos here on the channel. Also, if you have any comments about the halvings, what you think about what happened in Litecoin, what happens in Bitcoin, please let me know in the comment section below. I would love to chat with you there. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.